Sir, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Please continue. Thank you.
Am I audible, ma'am? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Please continue.
Okay. So today we will go for the implementation of forecasting model, FB profit model in a Python. Here I will explain you and I will share you the knowledge how you can implement a forecasting FB profit model. And it is a very high accurate model. Our ARIMA that already has been defined in the previously, but it is different from the ARIMA model. So we will let go for this good discussion about it. Before I'm going to forecasting FB profit model, I will just go for the briefly introductory some terms that are related to your FDP that are based on the application of machine learning. So I'm just starting from some briefing of the data science, machine learning, and the AI. Then after I will go for the forecasting. So first of all, whenever we are going for the machine learning application, what is the machine learning, how we can go for it. So today all the scenario are going and moving towards to the machine learning. So what is a machine learning? So before going to understand what is a machine learning, we need to understand what is a data science. So here, what is a data science? So data science, we have a data. Any business application, any business outlets, all have a data. And the analyzing of that data is the most importantly part of the data set. And analyzing the pattern, how you can analyze, how you can implement the methods, process, algorithm that actually work to identify some hidden patterns. So you have a data like a shop owner, let's suppose a business application are there and a particular shop owner have the data of sale on the particular date, the sale is this, the particular date is this, the sale is this. It has a data of 5 year, 4 year, 3 year, 2 year, maybe a data in the form of CSV, in form of Excel, in form of any type of sources. Now, a business owner actually want to know what is the likelihood item of the customer that he can make available for the customer, he can use, how he can increase their sales. So it will be analyzed. It will be make out the data. It will be filtered the data. It will be analyzed. Apply some methods to identify which item mostly sold in this store. So these are some question basic aims whenever you are going to analyze a data. So data science is basically applying some methods, process, algorithm, and system to identify the pattern from a data. And this data basically use the knowledge to solve the business problem. And data science will be applied. So data scientists always apply an analytical process over the data. And data scientist, which has primary role to design and create a process for the complex as well as large scale data. So you have a data and you can play with the data to identify some knowledge. On with behalf of this knowledge, you can work, you can identify, you can predict the future. So that is the data science. And if you are making a model that are involving in the processing, training, verifying all the integrity of the data for the analysis. Integrity, whenever you are going for the analyzing of data, the data should not be changed. That is the integrity. So these are processing, cleaning, how we can clean it. So we will go into the next slide and make a model like a predictive model using machine learning algorithm. So I can go for the example like one example, your business application system can be trained based on the customer behavior pattern to predict the likelihood of the customer buying a product. So shop owner can also analyze their data, which product is likelihood for the particular customer. So it is mostly sell, it can be go in the conclusion whenever it will perform some analyzing the data that it has. So it can be get a knowledge, so he will increase the sales, he will more and collect the more product from the outsource and he can sell. So you can extend their sales by knowing the mood of the customer. That is the analysis of the data. Like second example, I can hear a restaurant and predict how many customers will visit on the weekend. Any restaurant owner have the data that actually analyze how many customers are visiting their restaurant and what actually they won't require mostly. So it can handle easily the inventory to the demand of a particular customer or customer that are arrived at their store on the weekend. So different kind of operation you can perform on the data. So there are some programming language that actually handle for the data like R programming, SQL, Java, you can handle Python, MATLAB, SAS. Now, whenever you are going to perform an analytic process over the data, it has a data lifecycle. It has the actually 7 phases that are mostly discovery, data preparation, model planning, model building, operationalize, and communicate. So what is the data life cycle? What is the discovery? Discovery is just setting your initial hypothesis. What actually you want to do with your data and how you can manage this. So step by step, this is before you begin the project, it is important to understand the various specifications, requirement, priority, and the required budget. And you must be able to ask the right question. And in phase, actually, you are just defining your initial hypothesis. So that is the discovery. You just require the data and how you will analyze what actually you have defined your what you want to know. So set of questionnaires should be there, but that is come in the first phase, that is your discovery of data. Second, the data preparation. Once you have decided your initial hypothesis, you have to prepare your data. You have to make your data. You just find there are some cleaning operation, there are some analytical sandbox in which you will perform the analytics. So actually, in data preparation, you just prepare your data. You just identify your data. And once your data has been prepared, you just plan for the model. You just determine the methods and technique to draw the relationship between the features and the label. So data, every data has some features and labels, and you just define the relationship and you're just planning for the model. And this relationship can be based on the algorithm that will be I will explain in the next. The second, third phase is that's the model planning. And once you have planned your model, you just build, you will just develop the data source for the training and quality. You have a complete data that is called the trained data, out of which you just I'm just Shalini Singhal, please mute yourself. Actually, Shalini, Shalini Singhal,
Uh, sir,
please.
sir, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Is there any
Yeah.
issue?
Hello.
Sir, you are audible to me.
Yeah. Yes, Shalini.
Yes, sir, बोलिए. Hello.
हाँ शालिनी आप अनम्यूट है शायद यू आर मेकिंग सम नॉइज इन द
Sir,
प्रेजेंटेशन
if I'm audible.
यस शालिनी यू आर ऑडिबल
Okay, sir. Please.
Am I continue?
Yes, sir. Please continue. Please
Okay.
continue.
Okay. Actually, I'm getting some background knowledge from your side. That's why I'm asking you.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. So sorry for interruption. So once you have prepared your data, you just go for the training and testing. And what is the training and testing data set? You have the data, out of which you just select the data that actually used for the testing purpose. Once you have built your model and you just want to know truthfulness and correctness of your model. That's why we need some testing data. We just test the data, what is the predicted values and what is the actual values. We just compare on that. So on the purpose of that, we just divide our data set into the training and testing. Then after fifth phase, that is the operationalize. Once you have make a model, you just design your modeling, then you have to deliver the final report for technical documentation. So these are the some operationalize. After that, in the last phase, you just communicate your model. In this phase, actually, you need to identify that what was your aim and you have got it or not. That is the communication. So whenever the science is working, it work over the these phases. And that will be done by a data scientist who will perform some analytics. So whenever we are going for the data science, we use a Python most widely, and what are the advantages? So you already aware about it. It's a powerful library for machine learning algorithms, applications, and other specific computation. Simple, easy learning scripting language fit for many platforms. Perform very basic states operation like data manipulation, analyzing, visualization, mean mode, etc., and interpreting. So most widely used for implementing a data science, for analyzing a data science, applying a basic statistical model on the data science, we use the Python. So whenever the Python is used, the basic two libraries are most widely used to analyze the data, that is the NumPy and Pandas. So what is the NumPy? So here the NumPy stands for the numerical Python, and it is basically deals with your array objects that have the array object. You can define the array using the NumPy library. That is how you can go for it. So I'm just going to explaining you some concept of uh, NumPy library by using the Google Colab. So here will use the Google Colab for executing the Python script, and I'm going to show you some concept how you can create array using the NumPy, and how are the basic operation that actually you will use whenever you are going for the analyzing the data. So whenever you are using, I think it's visible to all of you now. Okay. So whenever you are going to using the NumPy library, it can be import by using I can okay. So you just extract the library for the Python. You have to write the import NumPy. This is a aliasing I have defined as a NumPy as a n. So it is not necessary. It is an optional part, but most widely we have to aliasing a particular library in the Python. We have to write the as np. You can run, and it is the most it is a good for the Google Colab that you need not to install any software on your system, and just run all the Python scripts that are actually used. So here I'm going to elaborate my whole concept in the Google Colab. So now we have elaborated, and how you can create an array one day. So you have to given first np, that is your library numpy dot array, and in the bracket you have defined. You can see this. I have created an array np.array library. I have used dot array, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I have defined. So it will define some one layer. Look at it. Now you can see, uh, just you want to know what is the data type of this thing. So this is again a Python feature. You just write the type and you can write the name of particular variable. So this is numpy. That is a numerical Python dot nd array. This is nd array. This is the one. You can also define the 2D array by writing this is the same feature that actually you are using in the C and other languages like 1, 2, 3, 4. And this second bracket will be start for that. This will create a first row and it can be created for second row. So in this way, you can also define a 2D array and you can see this is a array. That is a 2D. It's a 2 by 4 array. Now, if you want to check what is the size of this array, so it's very clear that the b dot shape function. Dot shape actually tells us the size of this array. So you can identify like 2 and 4. That is the 2 row and the 4 column. Now, if you are going to tell about the 8 dot shape, so we have created an array, 1D array, 8. Now we want to know what is the shape of this array. So it will be shown you as a 5 column. That means it has a 5 row, but no 1 row. This is a 5 column, 1D array. Now, let's suppose you have created an array that is used of 2 by 4, that is 2 row and 4 column. Now you want to reshape. You want to make it 4 by 2. So Python also has a feature you can reshape by just writing the b dot reshape 4 comma 2. So how it will be created? So there are 4 rows will be created like 1, 2, then 3, 4, then 4, 5, and then 6. So whole item will be reshaped and you can check there. I just use the 4 by 2. So it can 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 5. So you can also make a reshape of your defined array by using this. So some function like if you want to generate some uh, number between array like so you can use the linspace method like 1000 and you want to generate a 15. You want to generate a 15 number from 1 to 1000. You can use the np.linspace that actually used to create a different data between the 1 to 1000. And this will be the 15 data. Now, let's suppose you want to create a data between 1 to 100. If you want to create a data from 1 to 100, and that have the spacing of a 5, like 1, then 6, then 11. So again, NumPy provide the np.arrange function that is of 1 to 100. You can see you just created a data from 1 to 100 that have the spacing of 5. So 1, 6, 11, 16, 21. So sometimes we need some data whenever we are going to perform some creating a data for the analyzing purpose. So sometimes we can create also. So it is the most importantly used np.arrange. We have to arrange our data in the array, then we can use. So here you can look 1, 6, 11, 16, 21, 26. They all have the data with the spacing of 5. Now, similarly, you can create a data for the, like, if you want to create a 0 matrix, then you can create a 10 by 10. You just write the np.0, it will be created. Similarly, words matrix you can also create by 5 by 5. And here I have just multiplied this 1 by 1. 10 you can create. Random integer you can also create like np.random.randint. So this will be actually define the integer values. And you just created the 5 values between 0 to 1000. So you can check this is the random. And this is whenever you are executing these operations, it will be generate a different data. Every time you execute, it will generate a different. And how you can go for the recovery. If you want to stop the randomness of a particular data in a for particular one statement, then you have to use the sheet. This function will actually sheeting the randomness. And you can look, I have created a rand int integer that is the size of 5 by 5. Every time that you are clicking it, your randomness will be the same. It will not be changed every time. It will be the same. Similarly, in this matrix, using ABC, you can find out the max. So you just directly use your ABC dot max. You will find that a 972 Similarly, you can find the minimum element from the matrix ABC dot min. And if you want to know the position of the maximum element in the matrix, so you can use ARC. It will tell you the index number, position. Similarly, ABC dot. So these are some basic operation, or there are many function also are available for the NumPy libraries. So, but these are the I have defined that actually most widely used whenever you are perform some statistical analysis on your data. So this is your NumPy. Then similar pattern you can also use the pandas, and pandas is basically used for this creating a matrix data, tabular data, statistical data, and any heterogeneous some type of data actually used for the data manipulation. And Python, this package, the Python package that actually used for the data manipulation and analysis. So again, I'm going to explain some function shortly that actually use by the pandas. And again, you can import the panda library as a port function that you have to write script pandas as a PT. And in the Python, you have defined the list, tuple, dictionary. These are some data structure. List, you can create a list equal to this. And we just make a subject that is a collection of the subject. So this list contains the marks of 5 different subjects, and these are the subject of this. Now we want to create a series that has some index value with the subject name, and it has the associated value their marks. So how you can create? You just write pd.series, that's the pandas library dot series. And what is the index? That is the index you have to for the subject. So the value that are available on the list object, that is the list object is here, you just create, it will be created. So whenever you are running this, a series is created that have the index value as a okay. I'm not extracting the pandas, that's why it is not working. So first I need to take the panda library. So now this. So you can see the maths, science, Hindi, these become the index. And these are the you can see that this is alike as a array object. And now we want to go what is the difference in an array and series. So array and series most likely have a common element but have the different. In array actually you just define the index as an implicit. But in series you have index value that will be defined as an explicit. As you can see, these are the series that are used. But in the array, whenever you are defining, cannot be shown. It is automatically defined from 0 to a last. So that is the basic difference in the series and we can say and array. And the most widely, the series is used whenever we are going to access the different tabular form and we are going for the making a data frame. And this series is most widely. The data frame is also a collection of multiple series. So we can see. So similarly, I have defined here the tuple, and you can also make a series for the tuple and the data that are here. And as well as dictionary, and you know that dictionary can be defined the key value in the with the key and the data. In this case, you can find a dictionary, and if you want to make a series for define this dictionary, so you just write the pd.save. It's automatically identify the key will be defined as an index here for the dictionary, and that this value actually have defined the particular value for the index. So you can see if you want to extract the data values from A, you can define the A.value. You can find that 180, 75, that. And if you want to see that is the index, you just define the A dot. Similarly, A dot data type, you can define, you want to know what is the data type, if you want to sum, you just write the A dot sum, you want to create a mean, so you can also. Now, these are the two main functions that we are doing. A dot head. So head actually define top two top level row that are actually defined for the data. If you are going to make, just identify the what are the data actually, you want to see what are the two top elements are there, just the data. You want to look out the last two items of your data set. And you can so these are some pandas functions that are actually you are very aware about it. Now I'm going to finish machine learning. So briefly, I'm just covering very in fast manner. So what is the machine learning? Machine learning is a branch of computer science that actually learn from the past experience and apply this knowledge to predicting the future. So machine learning actually is self-extracting information that actually take the data, identify the behavior patterns of the data, and get the knowledge, and this knowledge can be applied for predicting the future. So this is machine learning. Now machine learning, whenever you have already go for it, you have to train your data, then you have to build your data algorithm model, and you have to build a model, perform your action testing and splitting, you have predicting some result, then this feedback again will go for the algorithm part. An algorithm learn, and it just identifies sensing uh, what are the relationship among the data and how it can more go for the more accuracy. So this is the model that you have learned, I think, study in class. In the class of machine learning, uh, there are three types of learning. Actually, you have defined supervised learning, unsupervised, and the reinforcement learning. What is supervised learning? So supervised learning, actually we are performing our operation on the labels data set. What is a label data set? Label data set actually defines where the features and the label both are available for features and the label. And what are the features and the label? So you can see here I have defined y equal to fx. You have the value for x. On the basis of value x, you can measure out the with a similar pattern, x equal to 0 to n, you will find out the value of y1, 2, 3, and so on. That depends on the function of. In simple mathematics, you are just calculating the y value from the x. But here, the scenario is different. You have the value y, and you have the value x. X value you have, and the corresponding y value. Machine learning just identify the mapping function. That is the work of your supervisor. So you have the data y and you have the data. And this x is called the feature and the y is called the. And this mapping function is the work of the supervised learning. It just so supervised learning again classify into the two category, that is the regression and the classification. Regression actually that works on the data. Like I can say in an election, a particular candidate will win by the 1,000 votes. So that is the regulation. And if I'm going to make a statement that particular candidate will win always, yes or no. If there is an answer in the form of yes and no, that is called a classifier. So there are some examples that like algorithm that are most widely used for the supervised learning like linear regression, logistic regression, decision tree inference, KNN based classifier, and polynomial regression. So many of learning algorithm are defined like a linear regression that is actually estimate the real value like cost of house, salary prediction, number of sales in a company that have the regression type. Logistic that actually works on the principle of zero or one or yes or no type, like spam detection. Decision tree that is a hierarchical structure whenever you are just going to let's suppose classify the data into the different categories. Like you just want to review greater than a 4 is excellent, less than 2 is a worst, whenever you are going for the review. So decision tree is the very best. Actually, random forest quite similar to decision tree, but accuracy is high. Here I'm not going to explain because I'm just covering some important concepts. Now, knee-based classifier where actually knee-based theorem is actually used to identify there is no relation between the different predictors. KNN just find out the object that is classify the majority votes by its neighbors. In the case of we just identify who in the favor of this particular result. So that is the example that actually most widely used the search result. And unsupervised learning, I'm going to this unsupervised learning that you don't have any label data set. You just have the label. So it is training of a model using information that is neither classified nor labeled, in which there is no explanation of the data. In supervised learning, you just have the features and nothing, but here you don't. You just label. So this is unlabeled picture or audio format from the internet. That exactly simple example. So actually, unsupervised learning is mostly based on the clustering analysis. So there are so many algorithms again and came in clustering and hierarchical clustering. So these are some examples. Now reinforcement learning. Actually, this is an area of machine learning that actually works for the RL agent. That is a reinforcement learning agent that learn from the feedback mechanism. It can be rewarded as a 0 or 1, and on the basis of this reward actually it feel and it uh, generate its solution. That is comes into the category of reinforcement learning, and in here the machine take decision on its own. Actually reward point as there. So Q learning, salsa, dqm, these are some example of reinforcement. These are the some application, e-commerce, virtual assistant, and everywhere actually your machine learning algorithm is used because the data is free and you just identifying the behavior of data. And you can use. In every field, e-commerce, virtual assistant like chatbots, image recognition, like face recognition, etc. etc. Like financial service in which algorithmic trading, fraud detection. So these are some applications. Now, artificial intelligence, and you are already aware that you just make a model and applying some intelligence, mind intelligence. So intelligence, the capacity to learn and to solve problems. And artificial intelligence, that is the simulation of human intelligence by a machine. So that is the some, and that these are the some AI agents. Now comes on the most importantly topic of time series forecasting with a profit in the. So before, what is a Python? So Python, sorry, Prophet is a Facebook open source time series prediction. You have the data and you just have the data and you just analyze what will be in the future, like sales price for a particular store, and like if I'm going to give an example. Let's suppose we are going in the pandemic COVID-19. We have the data set in this time. Very most widely research is going on to the COVID data. So let's suppose a COVID data I can show you, and you have the data in the form of like suppose on this date and confirmed case are so much number that are there, and active cases are there. So on the basis of these data, you can predict what will be the particular number in a future. So you have date-wise data, and you just want to make a prediction for the future. Similarly, in the stock market, you have the data that stock is today have reached onto the this point, then this point, then this point, then this point, and on the behalf of this data, you can predict. So time series data that can be forecasting is done by the Prophet, and the Prophet basically decompose time series data into the trend, seasonality, and the holiday. It has the intuitive hyperparameter which are easy to give. Some parameter intuitive hyperparameter they are whenever that your data is going to change, you just identify the some change points actually. So profits time series is actually additive regression model. It have the additive regression model which have the four component like trend, seasonality, holiday, and the app. And what is the trend? Trend actually define the non-periodic changes in the value of time series. Changes which are non-periodic. It can be appear at any time of your data that are called the trend. Seasonality is the periodic change like daily, weekly, or each year. Holiday which can occur an irregular schedule over a day over a period. And the last term that is the error that is actually not explained by the is gets unused. Defined in the formula. This concept is totally given by the Facebook to show to identify and to forecasting your time series. No doubt it has a high accurate model to predicting the time series forecast. Earlier profit model, there is also a one model is also there that is called the ARIMA. That is the auto-regressive integrated moving average. That is also used for the forecasting. But whenever you are using the ARIMA model, and in ARIMA, actually you need to tune the parameter. Actually, you just identify that where the changes actually has been done, and your hyperparameter actually explicitly tuned into that. But profit model is automatically select a change point by the selecting change point from the data. And you can see if I'm going to the mathematical explanation of trend, actually it define the piecewise linear or logistic growth curve. This is a piecewise linear or logistic. It define both type of curve to define the non-periodic changes. The non-periodic changes that have to discover in the data. And that discovery is automatically done by the profit. That is the main advantage of the profit using the than the ARIMA. So how you can define, you can work on the profit model. So here you can install the profit by using the PIP command. If you are using the ideally, so you just write on the command from PIP install IP profit install, and then on the prompt you can also. But before going into the profit model, and actually whenever you are using the profit model, it just require the inputting of the data and the specific inputting of the actually it just require only the two column format of the data like here the D, S and Y. Whenever you are going for the analyzing the operation, you need the data. You have it. And this data should be input it to the particular machine learning. Earlier, all the models they do not define a fixed criteria to inputting the data. But here the Prophet just require only the two column that has actually name also a fixed. That is the first column should be a DS, named as a DS. And second column should be as a name as a what. What is the DS? Here DS is the date time column and should be as a per panda date time format. So panda libraries can be used to convert your date into the date time format. That may be year, month, and day, and you can see. And why is the numerical column that we want to predict or forecast? So whenever you are applying a profit model, you need to design your data as a and distribute it only and only into the two columns. First column that is a DS column, another one is a Y column. I will explain you in the next slide. Now, so here for understanding purpose, actually here I am elaborating. I have a data set of a COVID-19 Algeria, and I have worked on it and how we can apply the model. So first, and let you define the data. I have a data of COVID-19 for the Algeria country. So you can see here, this is the data set actually that actually I will use here. And so these are the dates. Date wise, we have the confirmed case, death, daily death, recovered, and daily. And this data will be analyzed. And I will just going for the analyzing the data for the forecasting using by the perfect. So how we can go for it? So if you look here, so whenever you are going for the dissolve or understanding the proper, uh, I'm just going into the pandas like this. Open my no. So whenever we are starting a data, so we need to first uh, import some libraries that actually use into the model. Just a bit, so it's taking some time. Let me just, uh, yes, just a minute, actually. I'm sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you, Amit sir. Your voice is not audible. I think your mic is off.
Okay, and so,
Okay,
am I
sir.
audible now? Okay, okay. Sorry for disturbance. I there is some problem. And here, so first, whenever we are going to understand or importing a library, so here I'm just importing some libraries. What are these libraries? You can already cover in this section. Actually, it's going slow. Import Pandan STD. Import NumPy and NP. So these are some libraries. And third library I have to use here the matplotlib. Matplotlib.pyplot. So you can use uh, import import matplotlib type flow as a unit. Import and next library I have to include Google Colabs. This is the flow. Google. My system is not working well. Okay. From Google Colabs. Import file. And most importantly, that actually your that is the from happy profit import profit. This is the most important model that actually you will need. So here how you can import, that is the from happy profit import the profit. So from happy profit import profit. This one. So first I just libraries and I have run there and see Google.com. So Google.com. It's files. This- Now, okay, these are some libraries. You have to import these now, and you can see I have just imported the Algeria.csv that actually I have defined it. These have the data, that date, confirm, daily cases, date, this one. So I have imported, and here I just going into the, and here I have copied up because we have a command ed.readcsv where you have to find the data and you just give the path. So here I have given the path. Now, if the data frame is created for a data, that is the area.csv. Now, you have exported the data from the CSV from a separated values. Now you will go for the is the data actually you want to show, you want to watch the data, understanding the data. So you just find out top 5 rows of your data. So we can see by df.head. So the data can contain the dates, confirm, daily cases, and date, daily date, recovered, and daily. Now, after the getting the value, so these are the some columns that actually defined into the Algeria.csv. Now you need to uh, identify what is the data structure, what is the values that are actually in your data. So you can identify your data by using the df.info. And df.info, in which you can see there is a date column and total 291 values are there. There is no null. That means there is no null values. That means it doesn't have any null values. There are some values there. So data type, that is the object. This is not come into the datetime format. It is only an object. This way you can see that a confirmed, that is a 291 value, daily is case 291, death, that actually 290 is no null value. So in this data set, you can see that they all have the 291 values, but death that has actually 291, 290 not null. That means there is a one value, that is the null value is actually defined for that. So we can identify now. So I have already mentioned that whenever you are using the profit model, your first column should be a date, and that actually we arrive or appear into the pandas date series form. So you can see this is the date column. Now I need to change into the pandas date time. So here I have applied the df, that is the column name is date, that actually defined for this one. You can see this one. This is the date equal to pd dot to date time, and which column you want to change into the date time, that is the dft. So df is this data frame in which this is the column of. So in this way you can change your object data type into the date time, and you can see if you are running this, and you can see that your date column has been changed into the date time 60. Now, so you can also display the top 20 rows by using df.head, and this is the watching of your data only, how the data can be. Now, df.cal, you can also watch, you can see by the df.cal, that is uh, last 5 rows of your display. Now, if you are looking, if you are going into this data set, you have the cases of confirm, daily cases, tags, daily tags, recover, and daily. And in this data set, actually, I just want only the confirmed case, tag case, and the recover. And remaining, like daily cases, daily date, and daily recovery, they should be eliminated. I'm not required these column in my analysis. I just require only the confirmed that and recovery. On the behalf of these, I will just calculate the active cases. So these are not necessity whenever we are applying the profit model on it. So first, I need to remove that. So here you can see I have used column that actually not required. Then I have used here the df dot draw, which columns like daily cases. And here you always remember that these should be in the same format that actually written here. There is no changes. So daily death I have removed, daily recovered I have to remove. And the next parameter I have given the axis equal to 1. An axis equal to 1, that actually gives the, you are deleting a column. Whenever you are giving the axis equal to 0, it will delete the, in place equal to 2, you are going into this, and you can check. Now your data becomes in actually your required form. That is a confirm, tag, and a record. So this is the complete 291. Now, and in this analyzing, I have to add another column, that is the active. What is active? These are the confirmed, these are the date, and these are the record. So how we can calculate the active? So here I have calculated some active column, that is the based on the confirm minus record minus date. So this will be given and added this series into your data frame. In the name of active, I have given the name of active, and this data series will add into your database. You can see. So here I have calculated the active, and you can see now your data set, the data frame that has the confirmed, that recovered, and the active. On the behalf of it, in this my analysis, this is your choice, but I have calculated some active rate, mortality rate, and confirmed rate. And similarly, I have added some more columns on your data. I calculate. So here I have calculated an active rate, and how it can be. So I have calculated the active rate on the behalf of TF active series. So this is the active cases upon DF confirm, upon the confirm into the 100. So it will be gives you a active rate, and this active rate I have included into the data set by using DF active rate equal to active rate. So name of the column is active rate, so it will be different. So these are the active rate. This is the 100%. This will come to the percentage. And the similarly, I have already calculated for the death rate. Here I have calculated some death rate and included into it. Same procedure I have done. Now cured rate, that is the recovery rate actually, I have calculated again by using C. So you can see, so here I have to run because our colleague will be not work. Active rate is added with here. And death rate is also included in this data set. And similarly, cured rate is also included in this data set. Now this data set also has some NaN value. Now this NaN value can be removed. You already know that df.fill. Now this is the function that will eliminate the NaN value, and I have filled this NaN value by 0. So one value that I have actually defined into the, I think, that cases. So this will. So I have now this is the main. Now making data frame to date, wise, active, death, and the cure. Now here my aim. Actually, I am going to making a aim. I just know that the profit model accepting only the two column. One is the DS, another one is the Y. What is the DS? That is the date. What is the Y? Actually, on which you are making a prediction. So you are making a prediction. So first column should be a date. Another one is the value. So here in this analyzing, actually, I have predicted the active rate, confirmed rate, and the cured rate. Actually, I have worked on the active rate, death rate, or cured rate, not the confirmed, cured rate. So I just making a key data frame. One data frame has been designed for the date and the active rate. One data frame has been designed for the date and the death rate. One data frame has been designed for the date and the cure rate. So you can see here, I just making a data frame. I just going into the dr equal to df dot group by. Whenever you want to make a two column in a one data frame, you have to use the by property. So df dot group by, for which date column should be grouped by the date. So here I have used dot sum and dot reset index. This is reset index is useful, but dot sum is not required here. You can use or you cannot use. And similarly, cured rate grouped by the date and cured. And AR, that is the active rate, again it is a group by with your data frame and date in the active. So here you can look, you have made a three data frames. One which have the date and the active. Second one which have the date and the date. Third, you have made this is the date and the cure. Because you can provide only the two columns for the FB profit model. So you can see, and if I'm printing these one by one, you can see, so one I'm just showing you. You can see. So this is the date and the date. Yes. And the date. So now I'm going to applying a forecasting model, FB profit model. So if I'm going to this has the date value. This is the date. But whenever you are applying a FB profit model, this column should be named as a DS. And this death rate column on which you are making a prediction or forecasting, this column should be named as a YO. This is the specialty of FB profit. So here, first you need to change the column name. So how you can change so I'm going to take an example for the DR data frame, that is the rename column equal to date as a DS, comma, death rate as a Y. That means you are performing the renaming of the column. So you just rename. Once you have the rename, now you have to use the model. So first you have to define a model here. You have to. And how you can define a model? So you just give the name any variable. So here I have defined the model equal to profit. Then I have defined internal width equal to 0.95. And what is the internal width? Actually, this is a uncertainty level of your data. There are so many commands, so many options you have, but most widely we have defined the uncertainty level of the profit. So here I have defined for the uncertainty level of data is 95%. You can define anything. Actually, it's on you. Now, after the defining the model, you have to change the model. That means you just perform the fitting of the model. And how it can be done? So M equal to model dot fit, in which model you have defined here, profit model you have made. Model dot fit, which data frame, which data set you want to fit, that is a DR, that is a depth. So you have fit the model. Then after you want to make a forecasting. And how you can make a forecasting? So first you have to create the data frame. You have to create a future data frame. And how you can define the future dates? And you can see you have to define future dates, that is a variable name that is equal to model dot make future data frame. This is a simple kind of a function, that is a make future data frame, in which you have to given the periods. Periods, that means how many dates actually you want to create in a future. So here I have given the 60, you can change 90, 80, 100, 200, 300. That actually depends upon you. After the creating future, on these future date, you have to forecast. So model you have created in the model. Now you will forecast. So forecast equal to model dot predict, that is the future date. You just making some prediction on the future date. So future date you have created, that will be predict, on which you have defined the model, that is the profit. Now this value which give you a data frame that have the more much values, but we just need only the 4 types of value whenever you are going to perform FB. That is the DS that defines your date, stamp, Y hat, that is the predicted, Y hat that define the predicted value, Y hat lower, this column actually define the lower value of the prediction, and Y hat upper that actually define upper value of the prediction. So if you see, I'm just going to run this code. Now it will be generated and it is shown. I'm just displaying, you can see, I'm just displaying last 7. Now you can see in your data frame, if you see here, these have the 290 values only. Now you can see in which you have the 290 values. Now Here, whenever you are watching this, this will become 350 days. That means 290 and 60 you have made. So this is a date, this is your predicted value, this is the lower level of the predicted value, this is the higher upper level of the prediction. The final value this is. So these are the y hat that actually has the predicted values. Now you can also do same work for the active rate in the same case again, and it will be the same. Now this will be also same for the cured rate forecasting. So this is the forecasting model, and importantly, you can plot a forecasting model. So it also defines some death rate plot equal to model dot plot. This is the model one. Actually, active rate I have defined into the model one, and the cured rate prediction I have defined into the model two. So here and forecasting series. So this happy profit model, if you putting data on your graph, it will be shown you these guys. You can see these are the values of DF, date times 10, and this is the value. So it will also provide some floating graph. Now, happy profit model is also define some weekly plot. You can see. So how you can draw a weekly plot in which, so you just write the model dot plot underscore component. So weekly plot, then the weekly plot I have defined. It's a simple term, weekly plot equal to model dot plot, model one dot plot, model two dot. So it will be plot like weekly. You can see it will show and it will be appear into the trains and the day. In this can you can show the monthly dates. And here it's a weekly day. You know, 1 week, what is a trend of this data. And this is again trend for the next one. These are the next. So I have drawn this one now. Up to this is the modeling of the happy profit. After that, actually time is going and just briefly describe. Now, this is the most important thing in the happy. Whenever you have to design your data, any model, any machine learning model, you have to diagnose this. That means we have to validate our model. So your profit include the functionality for time series cross validation to measure forecast error using the historical data. So profit model also have defined some validation technique, and it is cross validated to define the error that actually between the your predicted values and the actual values. And this can be done by analyzing our historical data. And the historical data, I'm just going to simply explain you. And let's suppose these have the data that actually drawn between the date stamp and predicted value. Now here, you just make a cut off between a data. Like let's suppose this is the 5-year data, and so let's suppose, sorry, this is a 20 and 25-year data, and you have made a cutoff for 1 year. So 1 year actually called as a horizon, and you can make a cutoff first, a cutoff point, then second cutoff point, then third year cutoff point. So for this horizon that is defined for the 1 year, it actually depends upon you. Not necessarily it always defined for the 1 year. You can define for the any number of days, any of number of months, number of year also. For this horizon period, actually it will compare the actual value and the predicted, and then define it's your I can say it defines the error. So profit actually use the cross validation that actually define the selecting cutoff points and that defines some origin and how you can use. And just going into the simple scenario. So here you can see. Uh, so model diagnostic cross validation, how you can implement. So whenever you are going to make a cross validation, so always whenever you are performing a cross validation, the output of cross validation will be a data. So here I have defined some DFCV, CV1, CV2, because I am using three types of prediction. One for active, one for the death rate, and third one for the cured rate. So here the model name, that is the death rate model M. This is the for the cured rate M1. This is the M2 for the active rate. Here I have defined the initial 52. That means whenever you are applying a cross model, you have to define some initial period. This is called. So in this data set, you have seen that 5-year initial period has been taken, but in my case, I have chosen only the 52. And the horizon, that is the first cut point, will be start from 52 days after first date of my data set. Then this will be the horizon. I have made a cut point for the 50. So it will compare all the 50, 50, 50 and so on up to the last data. So this is the cross validation, and it will gives you a validation over the that your model has been perfectly worked. What are the errors? So this is building of the model. Now this is the validating. Now you can look. You can also draw for the performance matrices. Performance matrices, actually, you can look here. So performance matrices, actually, the statistic computed are the mean squared error, root mean squared error, mean absolute error, mean absolute percentage error, median absolute percentage error, that actually directly defined by this cross validation. And how you can define and how you can draw. So you have to import the library diagnostic, import the library performance matrix. Here you have validated the DFCV, DFCV1, CV2. You just pass into the performance matrix, and it will be the output as again a data. So this is the DFP, this is the performance metric, and in which you just find that your performance metric, that are these type of error, all are defined like MSE, RMSE, MAE, MAPE, MDAP. These are all error actually defined by using. Now you can also plot the graph between these error and your horizon that actually you have made. So just use the plot cross validation method through which you can draw the error. So here I have defined some like metric equal to MSE mean square error. This is MSE, and I have drawn another RMSE root mean square error. You can draw. So these are all are available. That is all are the facility defined by the active profile. So I'm sorry, actually time is going to up. Now I have to finish. And these are the profit diagnosis. And, yeah. Thank you so much. If any query,
Thank you so
anything
much,
you
sir.
want to.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Amit, sir.
Thank you.
Participants, if you have any